Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. How you doing? Where's Dr. Young? I see her now. Dr. Young, how you doing today?
I'm here. It's Friday. It's TGIF. It is the last day with a little bit of a tear coming down my eye of Black Student Success Week.
Today is going to be a good day. It's the last day of Black Student Success Week. We made it. I want to
We made
thank
it.
everyone for their attendance, being here, supporting us, supporting Black students. Wow. I'm going to get
Right.
into it, Dr. Young, and then I'm going to throw it back to you.
All right.
So, we want to first and foremost thank our sponsors. And I'm going to take some time today to also highlight some of our campus event. Thank you, thank you, thank you to our sponsors out there. I want to first recognize Monterey Peninsula College, celebrating all week barbecue, celebrating the passing of Senate Bill 1348 and the designation of Black serving institutions. They'll be also hosting a sneaker ball this evening, see who got the freshest kicks. Then we always want to go to Compton College. Compton College redefining Black student success the Compton way with
Mm,
speakers Jarrell Sells, Devon Walker, Dr. Brandon Harris, and our very own in the IE. By way of New York, we got Hakeem Kroon.
come on now.
Dr. Antonio Banks is also been hosting the after party discussions. Dr. Banks doing outstanding work over there in Compton, following the webinars every day, including today. And then Dr. Young, I got to be a little selfish.
Go on,
Riverside
go ahead.
City College has been putting it down all week. And then I want to give another shout out to our sister college, Moreno Valley College. They've been having events every day, all day. Their students and their ethnic studies faculty have been out there representing. Nikki, Deanna, all of them out there at Reno Valley representing. So with all that being said, Dr. Young, I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Well, we want to just, again, reinforce our theme for this week. It's been about revolution. I'm wearing it, y'all. Redefining Black student success. Revolution means reclamation, right? Redesign, redistribution of power. We want to frame the day, right? This closing session focuses on statewide student success outcome for Black students. And you're going to hear from some of our most powerful researchers in the state. Participants will engage in current data on access, completion, transfer, and post-completion outcomes, assessing both progress and persistence gaps. This session will explore how institutions can use transparent, disaggregated data to drive improvement, inform policy, and advocate for sustained investment, ultimately reclaiming and rewriting the narrative for Black student success. Welcome, one and all. We appreciate you. Today, we want to again thank those folks who have been sponsors, but here is our agenda for today. It's short and sweet, Dr. H. Black data is Black power. That will be again presented by some of our most respected researchers here in the California Community College. And then we will have finally a presentation on legislative agenda and closing marks by our one and only leader of Black student success, Dr. Keith Curry. So we are going to pop it over to our one and only, really highly respected leader in this work of research, Dr. Darla Cooper. She is an educational leader and expert in research and evaluation dedicated to using inquiry, data, and evidence to improve the lives of all California community college students. Having worked in the California community college system for over 25 years, she don't look at y'all. She looks like maybe she's been in it 5. She currently is the executive director of the RP Group and the board past president of the Emoja Community Education Foundation. At the RP Group, she has led landmark research. Proud to say I've been part of some of those pieces. Projects that aim to improve student success, Student support defined through the GATE, African American Transfer Tipping Point, and the geographic barriers to transfer. Dr. Cooper has worked on national projects, an Aspen Prize for Community College Excellence, and the American Association of Community Colleges Pathway Project. Dr. Cooper is the recipient of the 2026 James Irvine Foundation Leadership Award. She holds degrees from the University of California at San Diego and the University of Southern California. We welcome our own Dr. Darla Cooper.
Thank you, my sister, my brother, Dr. Young, Dr. English. Some of you, if you've been going to Black Student Success Week for a while now, you may have seen me before. And most of the time I show up and I drop the data and then I'm out. But this time I got people with me. I'm rolling deep today, and I'm super excited to share this stage with my brothers and my sisters. I will be joined by Dr. Temperance Dowdle, who works at Cypress College, Dr. Michelle Fowles, who is at LA Valley College, Dr. Marcel Gilmore at Mount San Antonio College, Dr. Eric Mays, who is the CEO at the Emoja Foundation, and Dr. Melissa Mosley, who is at Chaffey College. So you will be seeing them all shortly. But let me kick us off just to let you know what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about RAD. I'm going to introduce y'all to that group. We're going to talk about the undercounting of Black students that is happening across our system. And then we're going to spend some time talking about how we define student success and that we need to take another look at that. We're going to close out by telling you what you can do, regardless of your role. We're talking to you students, we're talking to you faculty, we're talking to you classified professionals, and we're talking to you administrators. All of us, there are things that we can all do, regardless of where you sit in your institution. And then we want to close out by saying and talking about how we can better hold our institutions accountable for Black student success through the use of data. So let's go to the next slide. So I've mentioned this RAD. I want to talk about RAD. Let's go to the next slide, who we are, what we are. But first, before we get into RAD, in case you're not familiar with the RP Group, the Research and Planning Group for California Community Colleges, the organization that I am proud to be the CEO for. We are a nonprofit that works alongside the system. We do research, we do professional development, and we represent the researchers that work across the 116 California community colleges. So just in case you didn't know. All right, next slide. So this is our purpose statement. We are the researchers of the African diaspora. We call ourselves RAD. We work in the California Community College system as researchers, and we are dedicated to the success of students who are descendants of that diaspora. So where'd this come from? How did that start? So it actually started with 4 of us who were able to go to the Amend Summit in 2024. And we realized that we were there. We didn't all know that we were going to be there. And we realized we were there and we're like, are we the only researchers here over in Ghana? And we're like, yeah. And it's like, yeah, we should figure out what this means and who we want to be. Like who we want to be after this experience. How does this experience affect us as researchers? We didn't get a chance to do that. If y'all were in Ghana, you know the schedule is tight and there's a lot of stuff going on. So we weren't able to do that. But I said, you know what, when we got back, I said, just because we weren't able to have that conversation in Ghana doesn't mean we couldn't have it here. So I pulled those people in and I pulled in a few other Black researchers that I knew. And I said, y'all want to meet? Y'all want to talk? You want to figure out how we can support Black student success? And thankfully, they said yes. And so starting in March, a little over a year ago, we just started meeting. Weren't really sure what we were going to do. Just trying to figure it out, meet each other, feel each other out, right? But we actually are presenting, and the next presenter is going to show you a little snippet of what we've been going around and presenting at multiple state and national conferences about this undercounting of Black students. So we're super proud of being able to take that message out there and make sure that our students are being counted. Next slide, please. So this is just a list of the folks who have been joining us so far. You just want to make sure y'all know we're out there. There are Black researchers that work in this system, right? I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, there's Black researchers in the system? And besides you? I said, yes, there are. And this is not a whole list, by the way, but I'm hoping y'all recognize some of these names and realize these are researchers who are doing wonderful work at their colleges and are also trying to make a difference for Black student success. Next slide, please. So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Dr. Temperance Dowdle, who is going to, again, give you that little snippet of the larger presentation that we've been doing about counting Black students.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper. Good afternoon, everyone. So today I want to talk about a simple but powerful idea. You can't count if you're not counted. This presentation is about how the way we define and count Black students directly impacts who is seen, who is served, and ultimately who succeeds. At its core, this is not just a data issue, it's an equity issue. When we undercount Black students, we under-resource them. When we misidentify them, we misalign the support for them. So today, I'll walk you through research that highlights this issue, the historical context behind it, and why more inclusive data practices are critical for student success. Next slide, please. This work is grounded in the African American Transfer Tipping Point study conducted by the RP Group. The purpose of this study was to identify the key factors, both academic and non-academic, that influence whether African American Black students successfully transfer. Importantly, the study didn't just look at outcomes, it examined the conditions that make transfer more likely. Next slide, please. But before we even analyze success, we have to ask a fundamental question: who are we counting as Black students? That question becomes the foundation for everything that's going to follow. So when we're looking at this study, in the study, researchers explored two different ways of identifying or counting African American Black students. The first way is the IPEDS definition. This is the federal standard, and it counts only students who identify as African American Black and no other race or ethnicity. Second is the if any definition. This includes any student who identifies as Black, regardless of whether they selected additional racist or ethnic identities. The distinction for this may seem small, but it has major implications. One of the ones that comes to my mind is the designation of the BSI, but I won't get into that much right now. So because identity is complex, many students identify as multiracial, Afro-Latina, and part of the African diaspora. Under the IPEDS definition, those students are effectively erased from the data. Next slide, please. So let's look at what happens when we apply these two definitions. Using the IPEDS categorization, the study identified 40,075 Black students. However, if we use the any approach, that number jumps to 69,278 students. That's nearly 30,000 additional students that are being counted. Students who exist, who are enrolled, but are not being fully counted under traditional methods. That's not just a data discrepancy, that's a visibility gap. And if students aren't visible in the data, they are less likely to be reflected in programming, funding, and institutional priorities. Next slide, please. So here we go with the historical counting part. So in order to understand why this matters, we have to look back at history. Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 of the U.S. Constitution of 1776 identified the 3/5 clause, or the 3/5 compromise. What this did is it counted enslaved Black individuals as 3/5 of a person for purposes of representation and taxation. This wasn't just a policy, it was a statement about value. It institutionalized the idea that Black lives could be quantified, reduced, and controlled. So now we want to connect this to the present. While we may have moved beyond that moment legally, the legacy still remains. Today's data practices, when they exclude or minimize Black identity, it echoes the similar patterns of undercounting and invisibility. Counting has always been political. So if I can go to the next slide, please. So what do we take away from this? We know counting is political. It reflects choices about who matters. We know historical injustices continues to shape the present day systems, including how we collect and interpret data. We also know that inclusive data collection is essential if we are serious about closing equity gaps. And finally, Black communities must be empowered, not just to be counted, but to define how we are counted. Next slide, please. So this brings me to my position paper. There are 2 QR codes on the screen. The first one is a brief, and this paper was written more so for individuals who don't have that much of a research background, but you can still get the information through the brief. And the second QR code is to the actual position paper, which has more of the data information, the research data information in there. So the purpose of this work, it's to advocate for more inclusive and accurate ways of identifying African-American Black students in higher education. The paper features and explores how race, ethnicity are currently defined and where those definitions fall short. It discusses the role of culture, identity, and lived experiences in how students see themselves. And most importantly, it provides recommendations for more inclusive data, collecting and reporting practices. So if we truly want to advance equity, we must start by ensuring that every student is visible in the data. Because again, you can't count if you are not counted. And so I would hope that the question that we all walk away with today is, who are we still not seeing? And what are we willing to change to make them visible? And I'm going to close with that and go ahead and go to poll number 1. And after that, transition to my colleague, Dr. Gilmore. So with poll number 1, how would you describe your college's organization's commitment to Black student success? If you can select one choice, is it strong? Your college is an organization is all about it? Is it moderate? There's some momentum and resources, but still room for improvement. Begrudging? There are some resources to support Black student success, but it's a constant fight. Or is it empty? There's a lot of talk about Black student success, but not a lot of action to back it up. Non-existent. We don't talk about Black student success, much less put resources toward it. Or is it unknown? You have no idea where your college stands. Or if there's something else, you can go ahead and describe. And so while we go ahead and take the poll results, I would like to transition to Dr. Gilmore.
Looking forward to hearing those results. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Marcel Gilmore. I'm a researcher at Mount San Antonio College and also president-elect of the RP Group. And today, I've been given the task of talking to you about definitions of student success and hopefully advocating for the importance of inclusion of liberatory outcomes. Next slide. So typically an institution and us researchers we look at certain metrics of success to determine if an institution or college is doing well. And that usually focuses on enrollment, course success, transfer level, math and English completion, and basically transfer and graduation. Those are the standards. However, I just gave 2 presentations at the RP conference last week. And what I wanted researchers to focus on in my sessions is that there are historical, psychosocial factors that impact student success before they walk onto campus. And those need to be kept in mind when we are trying to make these determinations about student success. And so I thought a prime example of a case like that is my next slide, talking about calculus failure. So over 30 years ago, Yuri Treisman, graduate student at UC Berkeley, he noticed as a TA that the Black students are failing calculus at a 60% rate. And he didn't think deficit minded. He was like, why? Because these are smart students. I wonder why they're failing. We did a comparison between Black students and Asian students taking calculus. And I mean, he went all in on it. He stayed in the dorms, he talked to families. He really did the quantitative and qualitative mixed method study of trying to figure out why. And this is what he found in a nutshell, that Black students studied alone and Asian students studied in groups. They formed community. And think about this. If the only time you found out you understood your homework, your assignments, especially in calculus, was on the test, and you never talked to anyone else about the process you went through to form your answer, that's really high stakes. So what he did in the end was form an intervention with Black students and created study groups and fostered a sense of community. And after that, the failure rate for Black students declined from 60% to 4%. It's not a typo. Let me tell it another way. There was a 96% pass rate in calculus for Black students. And you would think, wow, that would become a standard of a standard practice that would be used with Black students. And to the life of me, I never knew why. Well, that has not become a common practice. Next slide. And we have to think about the ideal community. We've been separated since before 1619, but our inception into this country. And we were divided on slave ships to separate tribal members. That was also done on plantations. Besides being introduced to a language that was not our own and practices that were not our own, and we formed a new culture. But what was communal ties that were established centuries ago have been ripped away. Next slide. And so throughout slavery, and even at the end of slavery, as Black codes and Jim Crow was introduced that monitored our behavior as people, that when we were criminalized for our interactions with each other, and that was basically institutionalizing another form of slavery and control that they've had over Black people in policing how they gather. And that led to the segregated communities, especially in the South, but it existed in the North as well. Next slide. So as we, since the Brown case in 1954, started to integrate and leave our own institutions, go to places where we were not tolerated and not celebrated. And that's if we were lucky, because obviously if you've seen the footage of schools being desegregated and the violence that ensued, the vitriol that was directed towards Black students, you would wonder why they want to be in a place like that. And it has led to a point that even in the future, that many of our Black students, even the ones who are so-called made it, lived in middle-class areas, they oftentimes go to schools where there's very few of them, and they do not foster a sense of belonging and community together. And they bring that onto our campuses, that lack of community. Next slide. So we need institutions that value our presence and that allow us to develop communal relationships, which means we must be more intentional about how we bring students on to campus. I recently did a survey with Black students for our BSI designation application. And just at that same time, I was also working with the Rising Scholars and doing focus groups with them. And so I was getting their feedback and I saw how they develop community. But also in the surveys that I got back from Black students, and I remember one in particular talking about, does he feel connected, a sense of belonging? And he answered, I am so alone. I don't know anybody. And that broke my heart. And it speaks to the lack of intentionality that we have as institutions, that our colleges have, of not bringing students in and just opening the doors and giving them access. They need to make a connection. Next slide. And so that speaks to the African proverb that I'm sure some of you may have heard about. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Folks, we need to build community and community college. In fact, we need to build community before they step foot on campus. And so we must be more intentional about making connections with each other so that we are meant to be, and we need to come together. Next slide. So, and I'm looking forward to hearing this. Poll results. So how would you describe your college's commitment to Black student success? And moderate to begrudging. You combine those two, 74%, basically 3/4 of those answering are saying that it's moderate to begrudging. And empty, hey, that's doing pretty good too. So that really speaks to the lip service that has been given to the idea of supporting Black students and the work that needs to be done. Let me formally pass it to the CEO of Umoja, Dr. Eric Mays.
Thank you, Dr. Gilmore. We're going to take a look at, we're going to start with poll number 2. The question is, how would you define Black student success? Pick your top 3 only, all right? There's a lot of different ways we define Black student success, but let's limit it to 3 on this poll, and then we'll take a look at that later. No, it's not easy. That's why it would have been tougher if we had left it to just 1, but pick your top 3. And the question again is, how would you define Black student success? So that takes us, then that'll take us into my first slide. And so liberatory educational outcomes. It actually requires us to think about education versus schooling. So, there's some traditional metrics, and they're critically important for students matriculating to and through college into careers. And we continue to track those and look at those. There are other outcomes, non-traditional outcomes, that are critically important for students' life success. And we like to call those liberatory educational outcomes. I'll go to, we'll do a little bit of exploration in Latin, and then we'll get to my next slide. But we take a look at education from its Latin root, educere, which means to pull out, to draw out. And we look at the foundation, the Latin root of liberal, whether that is liberal arts education or liberatory outcomes, and that is to free. And so we start to look at education a little differently as opposed to just schooling. Education, a process by which we pull out the best that students have in them so that it will free their minds. And so when people talked about the liberal arts, when they were designing educational spaces for the elite, all right, for their children, they were exposing them to the arts so that they would free their mind. And so it's important that we measure outside of the traditional metrics and take a look at what some of those liberatory educational outcomes are, because they're critically important, and the impact that they have across life outcomes for students. So what are some of those liberatory educational outcomes? Creative and critical consciousness with agency. You know, a lot of people talk about critical consciousness, and it is necessary to be able to analyze, to dissect, to break down the system. But it's also just as important to be able to create a more just system, to create what's next. If what exists eventually crumbles, we have to have young people that are focused, and some of us old folks too, that are focused on building what's to come next. And so that would be an example of a liberatory outcome. Freedom and joy. Some of this is born out of some of the work by Charles Payne in his work, Teach Freedom, right? The actual content is freedom, teach freedom. And so outcomes that take a look at joy and freedom, the sense of joy and freedom that students may feel or experience on campuses. It focuses on empowerment, mental health, and well-being, rather than just academic or economic metrics. Identity and community. You just heard Dr. Gilmore talk about the power of community. Strengthening personal, cultural, racial, and gender identities, and encouraging solidarity and community engagement. Liberatory outcomes foster transformation. Education as a tool for personal and community growth, development, and transformation. Again, teaching freedom. If it's not doing that, it can be schooling, it could have its purpose, but when we go to our next slide, not yet, when we go to our next slide, we'll see how critically important it is to acknowledge some of these liberatory outcomes. And so liberatory outcomes ask not just, not just are students improving on academic metrics, which are important, but it asks a deeper question that gets to the underbelly of education. Are students growing in ways that move them closer to actualizing their full potential through a liberatory or liberal, freeing educational experience? Next slide, please. So, as was shared, I serve as, it is my pleasure to serve as the Chief Executive Officer of the Emoji Community Education Foundation. We're across 77 community colleges in California, serving over 16,000 students with our community partners. And so we were tasked with conducting a statewide assessment to see the impact of the model. So you'll see the impact of the Emoji program on some standard metrics, which we're proud to talk about. Students that participate in Emoji compared to their non-Emoji peers, they transfer within 3 years 2 times more likely. They attain a credit certificate 2.3 times more likely. They complete an associate's degree 2.8 times more likely than their non-Emoji peers. First year success, you'll see it. That's a 10% difference. Emoji students demonstrated success 10%. 1.2 times more than their non-Emoji peers as it relates to persistence. And this is an example. This is community in practice. This is exactly what this is. And so this is the work that is being done across the state. And so it was critical that we were able to demonstrate to our colleagues across the state, those that support us and fund us, that we were making a difference on these outcomes. But we decided to also embed in this study some liberatory outcomes, because we wanted to know how this was affecting the students. Next slide, please. Their sense of self. All right. So it's important. Self-concept. We have it here as the I am for Black students. And what does that mean? So self-concept is this collection of ideas, beliefs about oneself. We consider self-concept, it's almost like vitamin C or vitamin D. They have cascades effect. They have a cascade effect across the person. Like, so if you know you got low levels of vitamin D, then you're going to have low levels of some other enzymes that are secreted because it needs strong levels of vitamin D. Our students need a strong sense of self and self-concept, how they believe that they're who. The who talks of the who, it really holds the capacity that they believe that they have. And so in self-concept, this measure, we were able to measure student self-concept and see a 38% increase in students after having participated in emotion. This wouldn't have been captured in just traditional outcomes. It took liberatory outcomes. And because of this, we were able to see increases around self-concept, but also self-efficacy in completing in college completion. We're able to see students have higher levels of self-esteem, but the underbelly of that is a liberatory outcome, self-concept. And it's important that we capture those. And you see non-binary students demonstrating a 91% increase, women 46%, and men 34%. Something that would have gone unmeasured, reported, or discussed had we not included liberatory outcomes in the assessment. Final slide. Before I turn it over to my colleagues, these are just, if you kind of see this conceptual model, tying self-concept with sense of belonging, and they're necessary. And these liberatory outcomes tell us a lot about how our students are faring and how they're doing in the campuses and the programs that we're leading. All right, folks, I am going to pull up those poll results. We'll take a look at those results before I turn it over to my colleagues. All right, how do you define Black student success? The top two: achievement of student outcomes, important, graduation, enrollment, transfer, and course success. Absolutely. All right, and number two, strong sense of belonging and community is critical. And that gets us to those liberatory outcomes. And it's important that we couple those together. All right. All right, folks. Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to my colleagues, Dr. Foles and Dr. Mosley.
Okay, so if we want to achieve those outcomes and have evidence to support that we're achieving those outcomes, what can we do, right? What can you do on your campus to advocate for better data? Next slide. So we came up with some questions for students and practitioners to help guide reflection, inquiry, decision-making, planning, and operational practices to support liberatory outcomes. These are clustered around a few important themes. We want to explore community and belonging by asking, are we creating spaces where Black students feel supported and connected? We want to examine faculty support by looking at how faculty foster both success and community. We want to foster equity conversations by asking, where do we address equity gaps in outcomes and act on them? We also want to conduct an environmental check by asking, does the environment match what students need to succeed? And it's important to remember that this is a shared responsibility. So we need to ask, who's responsible for supporting and making the change happen? And how do we know this change is happening? What's our evidence? What's the data? So our data should build a bridge between our policy and our practices. Next slide. Advocate for more inclusive data and reporting. Colleges need to be able to identify all of the students who identify as Black and from historically underserved populations. So to do that, we should interrogate current practices. We need to look at how race and ethnicity data is collected at our institutions, how multiracial students are represented in reporting. As mentioned earlier, your institution could be missing Black students in its data if it uses the standard traditional metrics that are often used in our big data sets. Each of us can push for better data collection by advocating for check all that apply options and ensuring that students can fully represent their identities and intersectionality. We can improve reporting practices by reporting data in ways that reflect all student identities and moving beyond single category limitations. And we need to use the available resources by sharing and referencing the position paper that was shared earlier. And most importantly, we need to rethink data norms by letting go of the expectations that categories must total to 100%, because that hides some of the data about Black students. So to foster liberatory outcomes and true equity, we must collect and share data intentionally and transparently. And this will help us build trust and community ownership over data. Our data is our power. Dr. Mosley will further elaborate on some action steps.
Thank you. So next slide. So to continue what Dr. Foles was saying, we want to advocate for the inclusion of liberatory outcomes as measures of student success. So as Dr. May shared, while traditional metrics like course completion, degree attainment, and transfer absolutely matter, they don't tell the whole story, especially for our Black students. Liberatory outcomes ask a different set of questions. Not just did our Black students complete, but have our systems or institutions changed in ways that allow our Black students to thrive? So I want to share a resource here. This is a study that the RP group conducted called Success Redefined, where they went directly to students to understand what actually helps them succeed. And they paid special attention to the factors of Black and Latino students that they shared as important to their achievement. So they found through interviews and research that the 6 factors you see on your screen allowed them to be more successful to achieve their goals. So what can we do as higher education professionals? First, ask yourself, has your institutional research or has your college done this kind of research? Do you know what factors Black students say will help them thrive? And if not, advocate for pairing quantitative data, like again, course completion, degree attainment, transfer, with stories of our Black students, and begin to start a dialogue at your college about what these student perspectives mean for informing our policy and changing practices inside and outside the classroom. Next slide. I want to share another way we can advocate. This is through the inclusion and elevation of student voices. So if we really want better data on how to support and foster our Black students, we can't keep just collecting information about our Black students. We really should do research with our Black students. So one concrete way we can do this is by advocating for students to be directly involved in the research process itself. And that can mean anything from co-designing the questions, researching and kind of analyzing the data together, and even authoring the findings. So students shouldn't just be respondents. We really want them to be collaborators and authors of their own narrative. And then next slide. I want to share one more practical way that we can strengthen the inclusion of Black student voices. And this again, ultimately is strengthening the partnership between institutional research professionals and students on campus. So this is another resource that you see on your screen, and you can also access it by using the QR code. This is 4 ways to strengthen that student-researcher partnership. It comes directly from the work that the RP group did, where they asked student leaders in Student Senate for California community colleges what tips they may have that they can share with institutional research professionals on creating this research partnership. Some of the tips they shared were engaging directly with student government, integrating research into the classroom, implementing student-centered practices, and clarifying student data usage. So to close out this section, when we ask, what can you do? We hope you just take one of these resources, one of these strategies back to your college or institution and really advocate about using data to center Black student voices and stories. So I want to then pass it back to Dr. Cooper, who will share what's next.
Thank you, Dr. Mosley. Thank you to all of my researchers, my research partners. So excited to not be doing this alone. Some of you may know I've been around for a very long time, and I was alone for a very long time. So I am so happy to be rolling so deep with my brothers and my sisters in research. All right. So what's next? Next slide, please. So first of all, we have this new BSI designation. Super excited about it. But we need to make sure that that S really does stand for serving, right? We need to hold these institutions accountable for the designation that they received. Are they truly serving Black students, not just enrolling them? We need to ask these institutions to show us their data. Show me your data, right? I want to see the evidence that you are living up to that designation. And for those colleges who are not BSIs yet, right, ensure that the Black students are being counted completely and accurately would be a first step. Next slide, please. So where can you find the data? There's data out there, people. You can get to it. If you were at a college, I don't know a college that doesn't have a dashboard. Everybody's got dashboards. Ask around, find out, talk to people, explore on the website. I don't know, type dashboard into the search bar. Look for your own college's data because that's going to be deep, right? They're going to have a much more expansive information and specific to your college. The other thing you can do if you want to look around and get a statewide perspective, but you can drill down to individual colleges and districts, is the data mart. If you are not familiar with that, I encourage you, when you got free time, to go and explore and see all the information that's been there for many, many years for all of us to look at. And they have ways to disaggregate by race. You can look a lot of the measures. So I invite you to explore. We put a link in the chat to this. So what's the name of today's? Data's power. Black data is Black power. Here you go. Next slide. So there's a slide missing here, but some of you may have been here a few years ago, and I came and we presented on these institutional profiles, or I think back then we were calling it a report card. We are still working on that. I know it's been a few years, but we have not given up. Not going to go into a lot of detail, but we did run into some challenges in doing that. But we are back on track and we are pursuing it. And so when we get these data profiles, they're called Black Student Success Institutional Profile, and this is for all the colleges in the system. So we're going to be looking at different metrics over 5 years. We're going to be comparing colleges with the statewide averages. We're also going to show which colleges are in the top 10 for different metrics. And then you're going to have the ability to compare colleges on different metrics. So stay tuned. I don't have an ETA yet for that, but please know that we have been working on this whole time, and we are determined to get this out to you so that Black students and their families can understand how each institution is serving Black students. Next slide, please. Oh, see, I think they got switched around. So coming soon, RP Group is working with our brothers at Amend. So like I said, don't have an ETA, but we will, trust me, we're going to be announcing it from every hilltop. You will know that these are out. Next slide, please. Again, this is just a list of some of the metrics you can see on here of what's going to be in this profile. It will have demographics. It will have whether our students are utilizing services. It will have college characteristics in addition to those academic outcomes. What you will notice that the liberatory outcomes are not here because they're not being collected yet. But my hope is one day we will be able to add those to this profile, but we got to start somewhere. So this is where we're going to start. Next slide, please. So in the meantime, go get the data. Black data is Black power. As I close out, I want to say two things. One, I was remiss in acknowledging Dr. Ahmed Naguib, who is the research director at the Umoja Community Foundation, who was part of this presentation, but his wife had a baby. And so I think that's a really good reason for him not being with us here today. And we thank Dr. Eric Mays for stepping in to present with us today. And the second thing is, I know everybody's got their stereotypes about researchers and data, and so hopefully this presentation showed you a different side, that we didn't come in with a bunch of charts and graphs and numbers, but to give a much more complete picture and to show you that we are here, and not just as Black researchers, but we are Black researchers who are for Black students. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cooper and the RAD team. And I do believe that we could give an excused absence to our brother from Umoja. Congratulations on the new baby. I hope mom and baby are well. Well, that was awesome. Black data is Black power. Wow. A lot of information, but good information that we can definitely use at our campuses. Dr. Young, man, we ending Friday with a bang. We are ending Friday with a bang. What you think about that?
It's hot, man. I love that they presented data in a story, Dr. English. They
Yes.
told a story about our students, and that impacted me tremendously. I hope those folks on this webinar with us today have some amazing takeaways. We have no more excuses. They gave them to us. They told us what we need to do.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So we are going to bring on our fearless leader, way more than a chair of Black Student Success Week and the committee, but really a navigator for making sure that there's a spotlight on Black students for over the last 8 years. I want to thank him for his leadership. I want to thank him for being courageous and fearless because this work is not easy. But his daytime work and nighttime work is leading Compton College. So without further ado, I hand it over to Dr. Keith Curry.
Thank you very much, Dr. Herb English and also Dr. Helen Young. I would like to first give a shout out to the host, and they will come back on in a second, for the work that they have done this week, hosting and interviewing the different participants, the different guests on the Black Hour. I also want to say thank you to the planning committee as well, and also to all the speakers that we had this week for Black Student Success, and also what was happening at the college campuses. When we first started working on Black Student Success Week, I didn't think it'd be what it is right now. And it's really powerful what's happening at the college campuses, but also to see the growth of the planning committee and the involvement of individual planning committee as it relates to Black Student Success Week. It's more of a family as it relates to the planning versus just new ideas. We're all trying to figure out ways to support Black students. So the reason why I'm here is because I just want to talk a little bit about the legislative agenda and what's next. This week is about Black student success, but we had policy agendas, and we really focused on 3 policy areas: responding to federal landscape changes, dismantling barriers to college access, and strengthening state funding investments. And you can use the QR code to be able to check out our policy agenda. But I want to highlight 2 items in our policy agenda and why these 2 items are very important for us to support. But before I do that, I think it's very important that we bring on the one and only Senator Stephen Bradford, who was the author of 1348, which creates the Black Serving Institution designation in California. It's the first of its kind in the country. We have a state designation. And because of this individual, this is why it happened. He wrote the bill, he shepherded all the way through the legislative process, and he continues to be involved in that by serving on the committee that approved the designation. And he is the one and only Stephen Bradford.
Thank you, Dr. Curry, for that kind introduction. I really appreciate it. But more importantly, congratulations to the Black Student Success Week. And as you're saying, redefining what Black student success really looks like. So I commend all of the professors, the historians, everyone who has provided the data to let us know how important this measure is and what Black student success really looks like. Again, what motivated me to author this bill in 2024 was based on data that we saw, where we clearly saw where African American students were most likely not to attend college after graduating, or delay enrollment, or only go part-time, and even doing so, very rarely graduated and carried on more debt than their counterparts. So we want to make sure that we created an environment that was not only welcoming to African American students, but help with retention. It's not enough to let them in the door and then they leave. We wanted retention. And most importantly, we wanted completion of that college degree, and also in an environment that was welcoming and encouraging and very much supportive. And this legislation is now being adopted by the National Black Caucus as a model legislation. But one of the questions they asked me before approving it was, were we competing with HBCUs? And the answer is absolutely not. That is not the intention of Black serving institutions, but it's about providing that environment for those students who choose not to go to a HBCU, can't afford to go to a HBCU, or don't want to go to college out of state, because that's where all of our HBCUs are, except with Charles Drew University Medical School. They're all located in the South or on the East Coast. So this gives students the ability to stay home, but in an environment that's nurturing and is welcoming. And I'm excited about the future of the success that this bill will provide, and the encouragement. And we've seen the enrollment already, because we saw a 22% drop off in enrollment between 2010 and 2020. So college education is vitally important, because we value education. Despite what the data shows, there were more historical Black colleges at the beginning of the 20th century than any other university on this country. So I'm excited about this opportunity and the 31 campuses that are now designated as a Black serving institution. So I think the future is bright for African American students. So thank you, Dr. Curry.
So Senator Bradford, one of the things that you and I talked about was there's two bills that are in the state legislators right now that's a part of our goals and priority to support. The first one is the Senate Bill 1255, which is authored by Senator Reyes, which is the California Hispanic Serving Institution HSI designation. I want to bring on Matthew Hamlet, who is the Chief of Staff for Senator Reyes.
So I really appreciated Dr. Curry, and always good to see Senator Bradford. Good to be with everyone today. Once again, Matthew Hamlet. I have the privilege of serving as the Chief of Staff to Senator Eloise Reyes. And just while I'm on here, proud North Long Beach, born and raised. Walked over to Compton College to go run track and do all that stuff. So I know that's both Senator Bradford and Dr. Curry right there facilitating that environment for people that grew up in my neighborhood. So just appreciate all of the work. But going back to what Dr. Curry said, SB 1255 by Senator Reyes is designating HSIs similar to the leadership that Senator Bradford took on SB 1348. And really the way that I have continued to look at this, and I know the Senator has as well, is understanding along with I believe the API AB 2374 that I think Dr. Curry is going to talk about shortly as well, is everyone's got different journeys, right? we all have different journeys. Latino student, Black student, an API student. If you're mixed race, mixed culture, there are just different ways and different obstacles that you have to face, and different things that a university or college needs to do to make sure you're facilitating a path, and really making sure that folks not only get in the door, like Senator Bradford said, but finish, right? Get all the way through. And despite different journeys and different experiences, not only are we fighting oftentimes similar systems, but we rise together, right? And that's really the spirit of this, which is, if we can take the great template, the national leading template that Senator Bradford established, and establish it for other folks, other specific groups. That does not, diminish the experience or the needs of Black students, but really doubles down and make sure that we are building a coalition that will address some of these, address a lot of these systemic barriers that we are facing inside and outside of the classroom, and ultimately uplift Black students. So once again, it's a privilege to be here, privilege to continue, I think, the spirit of a lot of the work that Senator Bradford has started, and yeah, we really appreciate support to get this across the finish line.
And so as a part of our legislative agenda for Black Student Success Week, and the number one item was to support Senate Bill 1255. And so we're in support. We understand the need for minority serving institution designation, and we support the HSI designation for the state of California.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, Dr. Curry, and really looking forward to getting all of this across the finish line so we uplift all of our students, minority students especially, across the state.
Perfect. Now, thank you very much. Now we want to bring on the Assembly member, Mike Fong, who is the author of Assembly Bill 2374, which is for the California Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Serving Institution designation. Assembly member Fong, how you doing?
Good, President Curry. How are you?
We're doing all right. I have Senator Bradford online as well.
Good afternoon, Senator Bradford. Good to see you.
So we just want you to get a chance to talk about the bill a little bit, and we want to talk about our support for it as well.
Thank you so much, President Curry, for that warm introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. Apologize for any background noise. I'm Senator Mike Fong, proud to represent the West San Gabriel Valley, and very honored and humbled to chair the Assembly Higher Education Committee. And thank you so much to President Curry, to Senator Bradford, to everyone for inviting me to this forum during Black Student Success Week. We believe in the power and promise of education to transform lives. And we know that higher education not only opens up doors for first-generation students, but also uplifts communities that have been historically and systemically left behind. And educational equity, we know that we got to continue to advocate for that, and proud to join Senator Bradford, President Curry, and each and every one of you to uplift Black Student Success Week. Proud to stand with you in advancing policies that close equity gaps and ensure that every student has a fair chance to succeed. And thank you so much to Senator Bradford for all the great work he did in the legislature, but also for the enactment of SB 1348, which established a process and commitment to supporting African-American students and helping African-American students succeed. And really grateful for your leadership, Senator Bradford, on this. And we know that 30 University of California campuses, CSU campuses, and community colleges, 30 campuses in total, and one private college have the honor of being recognized as a state-level Black serving institution. And that's to the leadership of Senator Bradford. So thank you, Senator Bradford, for your leadership and efforts. And I was proud to support that bill as well, and applaud the colleges and universities that have distinguished themselves as Black serving institutions and supporting our Black students. And this year, as you just heard from Matthew, very proud to partner with Senator Eloise Reyes to follow in the footsteps of Senator Bradford by introducing SB 1255 and Assembly Bill 2374. And these bills are modeled after SB 1348 to help establish state-level designations for Hispanic serving institutions and Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander serving institutions. And thank you so much for the opportunity to share in this space here today and for the support of these initiatives. And we know our communities are not homogenous, and we know that students have different needs, but we've got to continue to make sure that we help them succeed and help provide those opportunities with different intentional visions and plans And simply getting the designation is not enough. We know that we need to continue to push our higher education institutions to place resources and strategies in place to help us ensure that there's a permanent infrastructure in place to support our students. So grateful to join you, President Curry, for this tremendous event in support of Black Student Success Week. And thank you for your support of these bills. And I look forward to continue our partnership together. And thank you for everything you do for our community colleges, for Compton College, and for everything you do in higher education throughout the state of California. And thank you to all our institutional leaders on the call as well, to all our leaders, and for your service and leadership in higher education here in our state of California. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And once again, we want to be in support of Senate Bill 1255 and also Senate Bill 2374, which are now will be a part of the national model of how states can designate, have a designation for groups. And this is a model that could be used across the country, and that's based off the work on Senator Bradford, and now is being added with 2 additional bills. So I'd like to say thank you to Assemblymember Fong. I'd like to say thank you to Senator Bradford, and also I'd say thank you to Matthew for your participation today. Thank you very much. And as we close out Black Student Success Week, I just want to bring the host on really quick so they can say some goodwills, some goodbyes and all that. But I do want to say thank you very much to everyone that stayed on today. But I would like to really showcase the host and what they have done this week and the preparation that they have did. Also, Carmel, come on camera. Rena, come on camera. These are the 2 individuals who do all the background work for Black Student Success Week and the Black Hour. And without them, this stuff would not have happened. And I want to make sure that we recognize them for their work. Carmel, where you at? Did we not get Carmel? Uh-oh. She's like, I'm not coming on camera. But I just want to say thank you. There she go. And say thank you to Carmel for her leadership and her work. What's some final thoughts? We got a minute. We go final thoughts. Dr. Young, last one. What you got to say?
Wow, it's been a powerful week. This is my final Black Student Success Week. Thank you, Dr. Curry, for your leadership. Thank you for the opportunity for us to every year put our agenda out front and center. Thank you.
Soon to be Dr. Carl Kemp. That's right.
Yeah, Dr. Curry, I just want to say thank you very much for inviting me to participate with this illustrious panel of people and experience, like a front row seat to how it all happens, from your vision to the technical and consistent follow-up and planning of Carmel and Rena, to the academic and philosophical ingredients that come with all of our panelists. From my perspective, I know there are rooms up and down the state full of Black students and Black faculty and Black staff who are experiencing this in their own way with their own energy. And I just want to encourage all of us to know that this is a week that is the beginning and it is not the end. There's a lot of things that should have sparked things within us to go back to cabinet, to go back to our Black faculty and staff, to go back to our regional areas and actually transition from thought to action and hold people to account to make things happen. And we just really, again, want to thank you all for your leadership, and thank you again, Dr. Curry, for your vision.
Dr. Pilar Huffman from Compton College.
From Compton College, thank you, Dr. Curry. As the future Dr. Kemp just mentioned, it's important that we continue this work. This is not just about this week. This is about what we're going to do moving forward and always. And with that, please remember that the Vision Resource Center will be the tool to keep us connected and work in collaboration, and make sure that you took what you learned this week and continue to cultivate the love that's needed to really support our Black students and Black excellence. So thank you once again to Dr. Curry for allowing this to happen. And we're excited to see what we will do moving forward. Thank you, Dr. Curry.
And the last voice you'll hear on the 2026 Black Student Success Week. Y'all don't understand how proud I am to say this. This guy has worked his butt off to get that doctorate. I was calling him all the time, text messaging. His daughter got her doctorate during that time. He never gave up. I mean, he never gave up and didn't tell nobody that he was still working on it. He just got it done. And one of the proudest moments was when he sent me that text message and said he completed his doctorate degree. The one and only Dr. Herb English.
Thank you, Dr. Curry. I'm humbled. And luckily, I get to see folks like you way before you had a title of president, and the work that you put in, the mentorship, not only me, but others. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the push. Thank you for everything. Carl took the whole minute that we had, so I'm gonna try to be quick. It's been a pleasure working with Dr. Pilar Huffman, being able to meet her, and she's just outstanding. Carl, being able to see you and the work that you've done in Long Beach, your testimony and your story, and the positivity that you always come with, no matter what's going on. I was a VIP at his Juneteenth event, and that brother knows how to put on an event. So thank you, Carl, for the work that you do. And then last but not least, Dr. Curry, Dr. Helen Young is top shelf. Dr. Helen Young is the greatest. Dr. Helen Young is nurturing, she's loving, she's challenging, she's inspiring. And I've never seen her with a frown ever. Ever in my life have I seen her with a frown. She meets challenges head on. And I'm very sad. But see, I got her home number, I got her husband's number, so I'm able to connect with her outside of this. But I know the Lord got something in store for her that's way greater than whatever she accomplished in education. She gets to be with her boys more. She gets to be with her granddaughter more. And the new Helen Young for 2026 as of July 1, her dreams have not even been as big as what she's about to do. But I love that woman dearly. I love her dearly because she's the real deal. And Dr. Curry, your infinite wisdom put all four of us together. So thank you so much. And I just can't wait till next year. I really, really can't. I got full every day. And I appreciate your leadership, and I appreciate my four co-hosts or three co-hosts. But thank y'all, and thank everyone that stayed on an extra 12 minutes because you're dedicated to Black student success.
As we heal ourselves, we heal our children. As we heal ourselves, we heal our family. As we heal ourselves, we heal the community. And as we heal ourselves, we heal the world.